Hello moviegoers, Ezra here and welcome back to another Ezra review, and today we are going to be reviewing this new movie called Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now this is gonna be a spoiler review, so if you guys haven't watched the movie then please do not watch the video, because I'm gonna spoil certain aspect of the movie because I think there is so many problem in this movie that I want to talk about it, but that's gonna be a spoiler. So again, if you haven't watched Ghostbusters Frozen Empire then do not watch this review, so okay, got it, cool. So for the Ghostbuster Frozen Empire, which is technically the fourth Ghostbuster movie in the original continuity, and for me personally, I love the Ghostbuster franchise. I love the first two movies. I think they are my childhood movie. I remember that my dad introduced them for the first time, and I just instantly fell in love with the franchise. Especially the first one. Obviously, is the best one. And I like the second one as well, even though that it's kind of like repeating the first one. And they released a remake in 2016. And with all the female cast, didn't really like that, to be honest. And of course you got Ghostbuster Afterlife, which like going back to the original continuity, which I enjoyed that movie. It's not perfect and I think it has too many nostalgia, but at the same time I think it's a heartwarming Ghostbuster movie, because like you're going back to the original continuity, and also you are basically that the whole movie is basically a tribute to Harold Ramis, who plays Egon Spengler, right? So that's a really nice emotional moment in Afterlife. That's really great, for Harold, right? So that's great. And then now we get to Frozen Empire, which I think that's really exciting for me because now we are getting back to New York City for the first time in forever for the original continuity. I mean, because like it's been such a long time since we see this original character, in New York City. And I think that's like, yeah, I think that's great. We finally get back to New York, which is like the Ghostbuster town. And this movie excites me, when the trailer came out. I'm just like, oh, that this seems to be like a fun Ghostbuster movie, in a way. And after I finish watching the movie, there is some fun aspect about the movie. However, it's not much because I feel like there is less ghost busting in this movie, and it was like quite disappointing, at least in my opinion. But I'm gonna get to that later, when we get to the negative aspect of the movie. But first, I want to talk about the positive aspect of the movie. So, first of all, the opening sequence. I love it, because it starts with like a poem or something by Robert Frost, or like a quote in a way, and then you also get to New York 1904, where you see like a bunch of firefighters start to break into like a room, and then when they enter the room they found out that everybody was frozen to death, and then it was revealed that there is an orb that was held by a certain someone, and this orb is containing something sinister, something chill, you could say that, right? um, so that was a great opening, because I think, oh, like that's like that's quite creepy, because I think that's what has been missing from the all the Ghostbuster movie, that like, yeah, they treat this movie as a comedy, which, yes, the first 1984 Ghostbuster movie is a comedy, but there is some horror aspect in my opinion. Like I think I remember when I was a kid, I'm watching the opening sequence for Ghostbuster. I was actually terrified. Like the library lady just like screamed at something and we didn't see what she was screaming. Like that terrified me as a kid. So like there is something to be terrified about in the original Ghostbuster movie. Obviously now, like, no, I'm not terrified, but still I feel like there is sometimes some disturbing moment in the movie itself, or at least like trying to be creepy in a way, and I feel like this has been missing. So when I see this opening I was like, oh, that's cool, like they're gonna like bringing that back, and then you get the original title or like logo, which I think that's amazing. They're bringing that back, and we immediately introduced like the new Ghostbuster, obviously, which is like the Spangler family along with Paul Rudd, Mr. Gruberson, right? And then they're trying to catch this like sewer dragon, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from Hell's Kitchen apparently. And like it's, yeah, it's a fun chase sequences. It's like, oh, this is fun. Like you get a cool opening. No pun intended, and then you immediately get to the team Ghost busting, you could say that, around New York City, which I think I'm just like, that's a great opening. I just wish that it was on nighttime, to be honest, because I feel like the entire the entire ghost bustings was actually done in daytime, and I feel like it's kind of like missing the creepiness element of it, because like in the original movie, most of the ghosts appear in the dark, obviously in the nighttime, because like, yeah, ghosts appear in the night, like that's what we were perceiving, obviously. So I feel like they need to use uh I feel like they need to use the nighttime more in this movie, because I feel like there is too many daytime ghost busting in this movie, and it doesn't feel the same, at least for me, And then I guess the next positive aspect is obviously McKennagrace as Phoebe, I think, right? So I think like he's still great. I think she's still like a great main character in a way, Phoebe Spangler, and I think I like Finn Wolfhard, and I also like Paul Rudd as Gary Gruberson. I think that is some character arc for him. Because like obviously Gary and Kelly, which is Phoebe's mother, they had a relationship. They have a date, obviously, which is from Afterlife, right? And now they're becoming a couple, and it pretty much like become this storyline for Mr. Gruberson. It's like, oh, like, am I a dad or am I still a teacher to these kids? Like it's like it's like an interesting story or like character arc for Paul Rudd's character, and also for McKenna Grace as well, where she basically got banned from ghost busting because like she's under 18, and the person who banned her is basically Walter Peck, played once again by William Atherton. However, I had a lot of criticism about this movie, so I feel like the positive aspect is like, yeah, I think there's some good idea, and I think there's some good direction where the movie could have like a really great potential, in my opinion, but I feel like it doesn't really reach that potential, because like I think some of the idea is like, okay, I can see where they were going with here, but at the same time it kind of felt cliche and generic at the same time. So I'm just like, I don't know about that, so we're gonna get obviously, let's just head to the negative aspect about this movie that I don't like. Is obviously there is too many characters in this movie, a lot of characters, and I feel like, damn, you are trying to give this a lot of character enough screen time to the point that they don't have enough of character development, because there's just too many of them, and there's also this new plot point with like the like Phoebe befriending like a ghost named Melody, which is like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird, and I feel like the conclusion of it is also really just cliche, in my opinion, where she just like dared to like, oh, like I'm doing this so I can return to my family in the afterlife, and then, oh, at the end of the day, I'm the only one who are able to move on to the afterlife, and I'm just like, dude, what are we doing here? Like, this is so boring to my opinion, And speaking of boring, this movie is boring because there is not enough ghost busting. Like you get that in the beginning, and I was like, okay, this is exciting, this is fun, and then there is no ghost busting until like way later, and I'm just like, what is happening, dude? Like until the last act where like the Garaka finally got released, I'm just like, oh, like finally something happened. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, I want to see people ghost busting in this movie. That's the title of the movie, Ghostbuster, right? But it was it was off screen for the most part, where Phoebe was like left behind, right? Because he was like under 18, like she's not allowed to work here. And then you got Paul Rudd, carriecoon, and Finn Wolfhard just like going out there alone, and then they just do ghost busting. And I'm just like, man, I want to see their perspective. I'm not that interested about Phoebe's character, because like she just stays behind, and I feel like the character arc for her is not that interesting, at least in my opinion. And I feel like they really miss an opportunity to show the family basically ghost busting without Phoebe, and I feel like we should be focusing more on the family a little bit, where they try to ghost busting, and then they realize that, oh, without Phoebe we're nothing, because like Phoebe is like the smartest one in our family, and she's the only one who knows how to capture the ghost properly. So I'm just like, well, like I feel like that could work, like, oh, you could show that, oh, they miss Phoebe in a way. So I was like, well, but they didn't do that, just like, oh yeah, they ghost busting, they're off town, like doing something somewhere, and I'm just like, dude, I want to see that. Like, why would we focusing a lot on this character arc that was not even interesting to begin with, so it's like that was quite disappointing in my opinion. And also the original character do come back, I like Dan Aykroyd and Erniehudson. I feel like those two character has probably the last two legacy character that basically has something going on to the story. Like you can actually write some good character arc for Dan Aykroyd and Erniehudson's character, because I feel the passion and the energy with these two actors. I can feel that they really want to play the character, and clearly there is some vision for their character as well. I think Ray and Winston has their own dialogue, essentially, where they're like talking alone in the room. And I like that scene a lot, where it's like basically Winston said, "No, like we're too old for this shit, like you're endangering yourself, Ray. Like you need to stop doing this, you need to stop ghost busting, because like you're just not fit for it. Like we're too old for this." So I'm just like, I like that scene a lot, and I really wish that there is a lot more scene between Ray and Winston, because I think these two are a great character, and on top of that, you got Bill Murray's character, Dr. Peter Venkman, which is there as a cameo essentially. And it's kind of funny because when I see the poster, and then obviously when I see the trailer, obviously they put Bill Murray there, and I was like, oh, like I think Bill Murray is gonna have some substantial role in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. That's gonna be awesome, and that didn't happen. It's essentially Bill Murray has like probably less than 10 minutes screen time in this movie. He just there for just for the sake of being there, like he's gonna be in the movie and that's it. It's like, come on, man. Like, I feel like there is nothing much to do with Peter Venkman's character, because like, yes, I love Bill Murray, like pretty much everyone do, for Ghostbuster, but I don't think there is enough storyline for Bill Murray's character, because I feel like there is, like, first of all, he doesn't seem that excited to be in this movie, to be honest. I know that he does some promotion and he seems to have a lot of fun, but if you watch this movie, like he's not in this movie a lot, so I'm just like, what are you doing here? It's almost like he just here for the sake of it, so I'm just like, well, they should just find like a good storytelling for Peter Venkman somehow. I don't know how you're gonna do that, because like he's just the kind of guy just there to be funny, to be comedic, because he's Bill Murray, and it's not the same as Dr. like Ray and Winston, because like they have something going on in the story and they felt integral to the story, which again, I cannot say that for Peter Venkman. He's just there for the sake of it. Same thing with Anniepotts' character Janine, right? Like she's just like there to put the Ghostbuster suit, and it's like, oh, like she's in the Ghostbuster suit. That's awesome, right? And then like, yeah, of course that's cool, I guess. But it's like there is nothing much add to the story. It's just there for the sake of it again. So I'm just like, this is disappointing, man. I feel like I feel like they add too many characters here, and I feel they should just focus on the Spangler family and only on them. And yes, you could probably add Ray and Winston to the story, because it kind of makes sense for them to be in the story, because I like the role that Dr. Ray has in this movie. It's like, yeah, he's still passionate about like paranormal stuff, and clearly you can bring him back to help the Ghostbuster, which they do in this movie, and that works. And then you got Winston, who basically an entrepreneur, right? And then he's basically helping the Ghostbuster, funding the Ghostbuster, with his own money. And that's a great character arc, because like, remember in the first movie, Winston is like the kind of guy that just a normal guy looking for a job, and now he's becoming an entrepreneur, and now he's helping the Ghostbuster, financially. I'm just like, that's amazing. That's a great character arc for his character, and I think Dan Aykroyd and Erniehudson has a lot of passion for playing the character. I can feel they love the role, which I cannot say the same thing with Bill Murray. He just kind of there, so yeah, either way, guys, I don't know, like I feel like there's too many characters. Like I guess the villain are pretty cool, like Garaka, like he looks cool, but I feel like he doesn't do much in this movie. Like they build him up to be like this dangerous villain, but like it doesn't lead to anything crazy, because like he just arrived at the firehouse and like, hey, like I'm cool, right? I'm cool looking villain, and I can free stuff, the Frozen Empire. That's pretty much happened for like the last 15 to 20 minutes. Like that's it, I'm just like, oh, okay, like they're really utilizing him enough, in my opinion, even though like he looks cool and he sounds cool as well. I think his power are also cool, which is essentially like Elsa in a way, right? Freezing everything. But it's like, yeah, that's a cool villain right here. The design is cool, but he doesn't get to do a lot in this movie. Like there is not enough personality. He's just like, oh, like I'm an evil entity that's going to rule over the world, just like, which like, yeah, we've seen this many times. We've seen it with Gozer, and then we see it again with Vigo, which I think Vigo is a cool villain. But it's like, yeah, we've seen this before. This is nothing new. I guess like the difference is that now he has a power of ice, and then this become the second ice age, like, okay, that's it. Like not much to say about the villain, besides looking cool. That's it, so I feel like, again, it's also determined because there is so many characters, and I feel like they don't give enough screen time for Garaka to be really well developed as an actual villain. Like they try to build him up, which I think is pretty good, but the payoff just wasn't really there, because he doesn't do much. He's just like, hey, I free stuff, cool. That's it. So yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, it's definitely a mixed feeling for me. Although I probably like it more than Afterlife, mainly because like we return to New York City, and I feel like even though there is some nostalgia in this movie, it's not as much as Afterlife. Like I enjoy the nostalgia of Afterlife, because I enjoy the original Ghostbuster. But I feel like in this movie, I like it that they try to do something new, even though it doesn't really work. Like Phoebe befriending another ghost, that doesn't really work for me. It's really boring. It leads to like a cliche ending. And then I feel like there is not enough ghost busting in this movie, and that was really disappointing. It was just happen in the background. It's like, hey, like we here for 2 years, we cast ghosts for 2 years, and then that's it. It was just like they say that, but they don't really show that, and it was like that's quite disappointing. And I feel like this movie could have been a lot better if they just show more of ghost busting in the movie and make it nighttime, and of course reduce the character and focusing on the family specifically. And yes, you could probably bring Ray and Winston, and probably some of the team from the paranormal research facility. Like you could do that definitely, but I feel like they should focusing alone on the family aspect of it, and and only on them, and then you could also give some room for Ray and Winston, and then you could give some room for Garaka to actually develop himself as an actual menacing villain, because I feel like he doesn't get enough screen time. Everybody doesn't have enough screen time because there's too many characters, so I feel like they should reduce that and show more of the ghost busting. Like I feel like that's what this movie need, more ghost busting. Please, it's called Ghostbuster. Like come on, you can just like show that, hey, they're they're ghost busting in the beginning of the movie, and then like they're just gonna talk. They're just gonna talk for the rest of the movie until the end, and I feel like okay. And of course, like the nostalgia aspect of it was like the library scene where we see the old ghost from the 1984 one. I was just like, dude, that's so weird and out of place, because like Ray just like see the ghost and the ghost charges at him, and then that's it. Like, hey, remember the scene from 1984? That's cool, right? Like yeah, I love the 1984 Ghostbuster movie, but I feel like they need to stop bringing back some nostalgia from that movie, because everybody loved that first movie, yes, but I feel like it's time to stop to bring some nostalgia, even for a little bit, because I feel like people are having enough of it, at least in my opinion, So also Kumail Nanjiani's character completely out of place in this movie, man, because like there is this new lore called that, oh, like the Garaka was actually imprisoned by the Fire Master, essentially like the Ghostbuster from a different time. And at first I was like, oh, that was cool, there is like a different form of Ghostbuster, but I feel like it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it belongs to the Ghostbuster franchise, especially in the end. Kumail Nanjiani's character Nadim, I think that's his name, Nadim, was able to basically control fire, which is the Fire Master. And I'm just like, dude, this is Ghostbuster, not Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like what the hell, man? Like it was so out of place in my opinion. Like again, I love Kumail Nanjiani because I think he's pretty funny, but I feel like his character doesn't really feel like it belongs to the Ghostbuster franchise, because that's not what Ghostbuster is. It's about like science versus supernatural. That's what makes Ghostbuster so much more fun to watch. But I feel like now, like you got the Firebender here. I'm just like, well, what are you going to do here? Like, is Kumail Nanjiani's character just gonna be there joining the Ghostbuster, and then he's gonna have a firepower? Like, I don't know if I like that, for the future Ghostbuster movie. Hopefully, if they make the next one, I wish they just like axe the character entirely. To be honest, no hate on Kumail Nanjiani, but I feel like his character doesn't feel like it belongs to the Ghostbuster Frozen Empire. Like might as well cast Kumail Nanjiani in the live action in Avatar: The Last Airbender, on Netflix, because I think they filming season 2 and 3. So like, hey, cast him on that live action. That's where you will belong. Not Ghostbuster Frozen Empire. Yeah, either way, guys, that's my review for Ghostbuster Frozen Empire. I'm sorry if I was a bit, I was not cohesive with the review. I'm trying, man, because I feel like I have so many feelings about this movie, and I might forget some negative aspect that I forgot to say. I don't know, because like I feel like I say what I need to say, but like there's too many character, not enough ghost busting, and Garaka, the main villain, wasn't enough developed. So like that's like my biggest 3 point for what I don't really like this movie. Even though there is some potential to be have there, but it's just like it's not reaching there yet. So I don't know. I feel like we could see the third Ghostbuster movie in this new franchise in a way, or like with this new character. And hopefully if they make a third one, or like the next one, hopefully they just like reduce the character, show more ghost busting, and just focus alone on the family. That's it. Like, you don't need to bring the original character back. I guess you could bring back Ray and Winston. Those two you could bring back because I feel like they have like a much bigger role than Venkman. So like, I don't know. You could definitely do that. But either way, guys, that's my review for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about this movie? Do you guys like it? Do you guys didn't like it? If you guys like it, then tell me why you like it, and if you guys don't like it, then tell me why you don't like it. Like, you share your opinions in the comment section below, because I would love to hear your opinions about it, of course. And if you guys enjoy this movie review, then make sure guys bust that like and subscribe button, guys, and stay tuned for more movie reviews in the future. And again, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.